Thank you, Bob. This is going to be a very special evening. I cannot tell you what an honor it is for me to stand here tonight and preside over the dedication of the Robins Pavilion. When I arrived at Richmond in the summer of 1998, all of the rooms in the Jepson Alumni Center had been named, with the exception of this one. It gave me great pleasure to announce the decision to name this space in honor of Mr. E. Claiborne Robins at the special party hosted by Mrs. Robins for me and Clarissa at Clearview that September. What a wonderful evening and what a wonderful beginning that was for us during our first days in Richmond. All of us in this room have been touched by Mr. Robins' generosity in some way, and the effects of his gifts and those of his family reach us throughout the University of Richmond community each and every day. Before we get further into the program, I want to introduce the Robins family members who are with us tonight. First, the matriarch of the family, Laura McGlasson Robins, who needs no introduction. Mrs. Robins, how delighted we are that you're able to be with us tonight. Claiborne Robins Jr. and his wife, Mary Ellen, are especially privileged to have you. Not to stand, Mary Ellen. Claiborne's son, Greg, and his wife, Susan. Didn't see them come in yet, perhaps later. His daughter, Cheryl. I know Cheryl's here. We're also especially fortunate tonight to have our two chancellors present. Each of them worked closely with Mr. Robins during their tenure as president of the university. First, Dr. Bruce Heilman, who was president from 1971 to 1986, and interim chief executive officer from 1987 to 1988. Bruce, will you and your wonderful wife, Betty, please stand? And president from 1998 until my arrival in 1998, Dr. Richard L. Morrill. Rich, will you and your wife, Martha, please stand? Also with us tonight are the Robins Scholars, the E. Claiborne Robins Distinguished Professor in Leadership Studies, the Dean of the E. Claiborne Robins School of Business, the President of the School of Business Alumni Association, and the President of the School of Business Student Government Association. Their names are listed in your programs. Will you please all stand and be recognized? A dinner of tribute was held in Mr. Robins' memory on October 5th, 1995 in the Robins Center main arena. As part of the program that evening, a film was shown in which the three living presidents at that time, Dr. George M. Modlin, Dr. Heilman, and Dr. Morrill, whose tenures together as presidents represent 49 years of leadership during that extraordinary period, spoke of their memories of Mr. Robins. In designing this evening's program, we thought it most appropriate to show this film once again. The film is a chronology of the enormous presence Mr. Robins had here at his alma mater. It traces his impact from the beginning as a board member with Dr. Modlin throughout the next 25 years. It's done in a style fitting for him. It is gentle, sensitive, yet profound. Here is a time and place. Please dim the lights.
For a few clouds, the forecast promised typical June weather that day, as President Modlin prepared for an especially busy schedule. On his calendar was the annual meeting of the Board of Trustees, who would be called upon to discuss an issue of critical importance to the future of the institution. Well aware that the university was caught in an ever-tightening squeeze of rising costs and declining status relative to state-supported universities, the trustees would eventually be faced with some challenging choices. and Dr. Modlin was going to present several alternatives for their consideration and discussion. To emphasize the importance of the subject, he outlined the alternatives on a portable blackboard. He prefaced his presentation by reminding them of the current plight of many small private colleges that in increasing numbers were being forced to go public. The first alternative he presented was that the University of Richmond would continue as in the past. It was strong, had a good local base of support. Though with competition as it was, this presented an uncertain future. Another was that the university would go public, accept the governor's invitation to join the state-sponsored academic conglomerate we know today as Virginia Commonwealth University. There was another possibility. Admittedly, it was the longest of long shots. This alternative could maintain the institution's private status, assure its future, and make it one of America's outstanding small universities. Dr. Modlin recalls.
I said there's another possibility, and that is if we could get a substantial gift that would give us a sound financial base, while that it would then assure the future of the University of Richmond. I'm not certain that I mentioned the money. I can't recall at that trustees meeting. I may have said something like 25 million or something of the sort, but I just can't remember on that. And so that was the first seed.
With one of the trustees at that meeting, the seed that Dr. Modlin refers to, the prospect of that substantial gift began to germinate. The trustee was E. Claiborne Robins, already a major benefactor of the university, his family having been responsible for Robins Memorial Field and a men's dormitory in memory of his mother. It took exactly 2 years and 4 days for that seed to burst forth. Near the close of commencement exercises on the evening of June 9, 1969, Dr. Modlin announced that board member E. Claiborne Robins and his family would give the university $50 million. $40 million in Robins Company stock, and $10 million as a challenge gift. There was a gasp, and then cheering and applause as the audience of graduates and families jumped to their feet. The next day, the media, realizing this was the largest amount a living benefactor had ever given an American university, reveled in the story. On the 25th anniversary of that unforgettable moment in the university's history, a luncheon was held in honor of Claiborne Robins and his family. Over the years, 3 of the university's presidents had come to know Claiborne Robins well, as a benefactor, a businessman, an advisor, a family man, and most important, as a friend. In recent interviews, we explored some of their observations about this most remarkable man and the Robins family's extraordinary relationship with the university.
Mr. Robins was a strong leader, even though I talk about him as being gentle. He was strong in his business, but he had a pleasant way of being strong. He was strong on the board of the university. He was strong in social circles, but it was not an aggressive manner that ever was abrasive to anybody. For example, many of those things that happened on this campus, like the Reynolds Graduate School of Business, the Gottwald Science Building, the Douglas Southall Freeman Chair, the Gumminick Quadrangle, I saw him involved in our inviting those contributions. Many would think perhaps they resulted from my efforts or someone else's. He and his wife may have hosted a dinner. He may have gone with me to see them. He may have shared with them the fact that this university was going to be a great place, and he would assure them of that, and they would believe it, therefore they would respond to him. His leadership pervaded almost everything that he did without his seeming to be the leader that he was.
I think we can all learn something about greatness and what it means on the human level. Obviously, we think quickly of his extraordinary success in business. But although that's a great story unto itself, it's really not the key to the man. I think what we find in Claiborne are these combinations of qualities that we often find in someone who's truly great. Certainly the ability to understand other people and to empathize with them. A sense that in relationships with people, everyone is worthy of respect, regardless of their position of prominence or their status or some other worldly achievement. You saw in Claiborne Robins someone who genuinely respected all people. You saw a man of enormous accomplishment and of great influence, but who also was genuinely humble. He did not, at any time in my many contacts with him, ever simply refer to his position or what he had done for the university as a way to make a point about anything.
When I think of Mr. Robins, I think of what really brought us magnanimous success at the university and is still bringing great success under the current leadership, even greater success, is the fact that we with Mr. Robins have thought big. He set the stage, and big people respond to big things. Small minds run in small circles. But Mr. Robins influenced not only this institution to think big and therefore get big results, but many other institutions in Virginia and throughout the country have responded by saying, what he did for you caused us to think big and caused some of our people to do big things for us.
There are a lot of other qualities that certainly came to light. One of them was surprising in a person of his achievement and his great success in business. But Claiborne Robins was an extremely sensitive person. That is to say, he had an enormous empathy for other people and their feelings. He was very loath to ever say or do anything that would cause someone else pain and discomfort. And so he was always the model of consideration and politeness, and very careful to make sure that he was including everyone in his thoughts, making sure that he was not creating any difficulty for other people in his company.
Claiborne Robins was a hard-working, disciplined person from the time he was a small boy. And when he came to the University of Richmond, he applied those same disciplines. He worked in the library, brought his lunch, he didn't have a lot of money, and he gives the university credit for what he is and who he is. And his response, to a large extent, has been because of what he feels about the institution. Well, that shows a part of the nature of the man who is gracious in response to everything and everybody around him. He gives credit to everybody but himself. It is difficult for me to identify what in the life of Claiborne Robins made him as modest and as humble a man as he was. That doesn't mean he wasn't a proud man. He was proud of his family, proud of his business, proud of his alma mater, so he had pride. But what brought these other characteristics and attributes must have been his background or of the history of his family, but it's a wonderful thing for any one of us to copy, even if we do it on purpose. He did it naturally.
I know that everyone in the university community understands that Mr. Robins' support of the university has never been his alone, but has been widely shared and deeply felt throughout his family. The university now has an extraordinary living legacy to Mr. Robins and to his family. The challenges that the university will face ahead are ones that we can meet through collective effort. We have reached a position of leadership in American education that means that the stakes grow higher every day, because we now cannot slide back on what we've worked so hard to achieve. And so through a variety of different sources, people coming together we are going to continue the progress and reach that level of distinction that is now within our reach.
I could talk literally for hours about Mr. Robins. Much easier to talk for hours than for moments because I can't say all I feel about him. But I wouldn't want to overlook the fact of something he wouldn't overlook, that his partner, Mrs. Robins, has been a party to everything he has done, reinforcing, supporting, believing in it, and she's a partner with the university, as are the children. They have been and they are today.
So it's been so fortunate for me as the president of the university to have such a friend. And for my administration, as I've said to him more than once, you made my administration a success. The story that when he decided to give the $50 million, he called me to his office one day. He said, George, you know, if I just assure you the $50 million, but only give 40 now, if not, our people say they got all the money, they don't need it. But I'd just publicly say we're giving 40 now, but 10 million to be matched. I said, well, that certainly makes sense. And I went to the door. I said, it's a marvelous thought you have, and it's typical of your reasoning and thinking. But it's the first time I ever lost $10 million in 10 minutes.
The fact of his being so unique that, in effect, you would say this relationship is part of a fable was shown time and again. He had a way of anticipating needs at the university that would mean that he was already aware of the topic that you wanted to discuss with him. And time again, we would have lunch or we would meet, and he would say, well, Rich, I've been thinking hard about the university, and I think I'd like to give you this stock certificate or this check because I think we really need some funds for this endowment or for this facility. And here's a check. Don't you think we can get someone to match this? And it would always be at a level of enormous consequence, gifts that most college presidents would shut the institution down and celebrate because the gifts were so substantial. And so time and again you'd have a sense that this man is simply in another category altogether. He's part of a fable.
If one attempted to write a single line that would sum up the life and leadership of Claiborne Robins, it might well be said that he was a dreamer of the possible. Though he possessed a vision of almost unlimited dimensions and often put forth possibilities that to others seemed unrealistic, because he inspired us to believe that we too possessed possibilities greater than we thought, the final result would invariably prove him out. What had once seemed beyond possibility turned out to be practical, workable, and achievable. And so, while the reality of his passing forces us to say our last farewell to Claiborne Robins, we have the great good fortune that this campus will never be without his presence. He came here as a shy and earnest youth. He walked these paths and came to love this place, and never for a moment forgot the glorious gift of learning that he received here. But even more important, he would make it certain that in this unsure and unsettled world, that future generations of deserving young men and women could find peace, inspiration, and the gift of knowledge here, could walk these paths and rejoice in the spiritual and exquisite beauty of this place, and dream their dreams of the possible, just as he had done.
It's a wonderful, wonderful tribute to Mr. Robins, and I hope that this film will continue to be shown throughout the history of the university. It does speak volumes about this wonderful man. We are grateful to him for his vision. He was a dreamer. He was also a doer. He could see the possibilities at this university. He knew it had the right stuff that warranted the first $50 million gift by a single private donor to higher education in the history of America. His extraordinary gift was to be a scaffold for building a great university. He knew, like cathedral builders of the past, that his work would not be completed in a single generation, nor even in two. He recognized that other members of his family and other members among the Richmond community must take up the challenge to ensure that our future remains strong. In 1969, Mr. Robins' $50 million gift was the first. It was one of one. Today, it is one of 75 gifts of $50 million or more given to higher education nationwide, capped this week by a $350 million gift, the largest thus far to MIT. He has indeed been an example for other universities. He must continue to be a guiding light to us. According to the head of the Naval Academy, the University of Richmond has the best thrust indicators in the business. He's a naval aviator, and he should know. We are obligated to the Robins family to ensure that those thrust indicators continue to soar and do not become a mere 30-year blip on the screen of American higher education. Bob Jepson recognized that Mr. Robins' wisdom was such that investing in Richmond and took up his challenge to make this a spectacular place. The Robins and Jepson families are forever joined as we unveil the plaque dedicating the Robins Pavilion in the Jepson Alumni Center. The naming of this room in Mr. Robins' honor is another tangible symbol of his leadership and philanthropy throughout his life to his alma mater. Mrs. Robins, family members, it is a great honor to have the pleasure to officially name this space the Robins Pavilion, named in honor of E. Claiborne Robins, R31, H60, March 2, 2000. For those who have not had an opportunity to view the plaque on the wall as you entered the room, I encourage you to do so before you leave. Mrs. Robins, would you like to say a few words?
I have been designated to say a few words, and I can tell you right now I feel very inadequate because many of you all have heard me speak before. I'll never attempt to speak for my mother. I can tell you on behalf of the entire Robins family, we are very grateful for the university acknowledgement of this room. As we walked in tonight, and I was listening to some of Dr. Cooper's comments about the fact is that all the other rooms here had been named except for this one. This is the way my dad would have probably have done it. He would have waited for everybody else to step up to the challenge and pick the room and choose what they wanted, and finally he would have said, well, I need to finish this off. And I know Rich, you and Bruce both a number of times would keep waiting and waiting and waiting, but he would eventually be there. That tape that we just saw summed up my dad in a lot of ways. I am not like my dad. I wish I was a lot more like him, but I'm not. I don't have the humility or the patience that he had. Dr. Cooper, just bear with me, all right, as we go through this very trying time in the next few weeks. But I want to thank you. I want to thank all of the university community, every single one of you, for the role that you play with this university and the role that we all will play in the future. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Claiborne. There are many universities that have great donors. I can't think of one university that has a great donor that the university community admires as much as this man. It is truly an honor to be at the University of Richmond because of the Claiborne Robins and the family members here today. It really is. It's not like any other university, and it's about philanthropy, but first and foremost, it's about his character and the fact that we admire him so much. I'd now like to call on our university chaplain, David Burhans, to deliver the invocation before dinner. David.
Let us pray. Once again, O God, we ask your blessings upon an historic and sacred moment. We are indeed awed by the spirit, the generosity, the humility, the vision of Mr. Robins, those who have gone before us, who've invested their working hours, vision, dreams in making this university what it is today. Oh God, may we not fail these. May we carry the torch high, capture these characteristics, this spirit, that this might become truly one of the finest small universities in the country, that we can make a difference in the lives of young adults yet to grace this campus, that we will be people of faith and character, generosity in the spirit of those who have gone before us. Now we ask your blessings upon the dinner we share at these tables and celebrate the dedication of the Robins Pavilion. In your name we pray. Amen.